My name's Dave DeBow, founder of MoneyPartnerFormula.com, and this show is built for everyday real estate investors who are actively doing deals and looking to scale using other people's money. So if you're an active real estate investor and you want to get featured on this show to talk about your own real estate and capital raising experiences, then just go to daveinterviewsyou.com. Now let's get rolling with this episode, and remember to subscribe for daily interview content.
All right, guys, welcome to Property Profits Podcast. I'm your host, Bryce Kaminski, filling in for Dave Dubois. And have you ever wondered how to turn a passion for real estate into a multi-million dollar business in just 3 years? Give them another 3. Well, today, my guest, Aaron Washington from Rosam Capital, is going to help us out because he's done exactly that while working closely with his father and expanding his operations across multiple states. Aaron, welcome to the show. Great to have you here.
Thank you, Bryce. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, I'm wearing my glasses, a little slip up. It looked like million billion, but who knows? Maybe you'll get to another 3 years. You can make it a billion. Who knows, right?
So, that's the goal.
Yeah, I think real estate's most scalable in the United States. There's 400 and something million people, so why not, right?
I agree.
So give us a little bit of a background on how you got started in real estate.
Yeah, so I started in real estate in 2019 originally. And when we first started, it was pre-pandemic, so things were a little bit different, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't, wholeheartedly entrenched into it. I had a corporate job. I ran a department of an engineering firm, basically, for a while. And so I was like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I did my first actual real estate project in 2021. So that's where we really kicked it off. Although, we started the business in 2019. It was a lot of analysis paralysis for a while, looking at stuff and really being too naive or even stubborn to, to pull the trigger on something. And I have a friend that I went to college with that started wholesaling.
Yeah.
And he asked me if I wanted to drive for dollars for him. So that's really how I got my first deal. And I was with my dad and we were driving around in the neighborhood, found a property and we got it under contract. And it was, we thought we were going to wholesale it. We ended up flipping it. And things kind of, proliferated from there.
So what inspired you to partner up with your father?
It was more of his ambition. He said he wanted a family business for a long time. And it made sense for us at the time because we were both in corporate jobs. So, we could help each other from a time commitment standpoint. There shouldn't be anyone more that you can trust than your parents. Shouldn't be, right? So I didn't have to go through any kind of like full vetting or anything like that because your parents typically have your best interests in mind.
Typically, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And it just made sense. It just made sense at the time.
So give us some tips and some key strategies on how you're able to scale that wholesale business. Because a lot of people, they get into wholesaling and, like myself, I had a little bit of scaling, but now it's just, again, it's right back to the basics. It's just me and the car and some letters. Right. And so how did you scale it up? And ultimately, I think most importantly, keep it at scale.
Well, I would say 3 main things that help us drive our growth. One is we stay in our lane, right? So I don't try to do everything under the sun. A lot of real estate investors in general, they'll start with wholesaling, they'll go to flipping, they'll go to Airbnbs and rentals and pad splits and all these, new ideas. Yeah. And in my opinion, it's great. I think that being ambitious and entrepreneurial is the name of the game. However, doing what you're comfortable in and understanding the risk versus reward is invaluable, right? So my dad, he is a lot more conservative than I am. My dad just turned 64. So in the point of his life, he's not willing to take risks like I would, right? I'm 29 years old.
Well, the bank neither. They're not going to give him a mortgage either. They're like, you're 64. Like, we're not going to give you a 20-year mortgage.
You're exactly right. So he's helped kind of govern my ambition to make us stay in our lane, right? So we solely focused on fixing and flipping and wholesaling. And when the pandemic hit, markets were great. And then right after, markets were really hard. So we completely got out of fix and flipping for probably 2 years. We just got back into it this year. So putting our sole focus on the business is one thing. We weren't sidetracked doing a bunch of other stuff, trying to chase the shiny red ball, if you will, the shiny object, which a lot of people kind of go down that rabbit hole. And again, it's good, but you're going to waste a lot of time, waste a lot of money. You'll have some home runs here and there,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a lot of energy put in all directions rather than focused on one.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing, focusing in and kind of trying to become an expert at one thing versus, a master at all. We utilize VAs. That would be the second thing. So I know a lot of people utilize VAs, and they delegate different objectives and tasks to different people. So we have a team of three. So we're pretty lean for some of the numbers that we have been able to achieve, God willing, and thank God. Um, we have three VAs. We do very, very in-depth training with them. I mean, I meet with them every single day. We've promoted them. We pay them very, very, very well from a VA standpoint, and very competitively. So they want to do good for the business, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they've been with us for 2 to 3 years each. We send them on vacations. So they all meet up every year and go on a vacation to the beach or wherever they want to go, and all that kind of stuff to continue to build that company morale and the family, centered atmosphere, and they'll want to work for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the vast majority of our business is ran through our VA, lead management and lead acquisition.
And that
And
seems to
that's
be the the VAs. What's interesting about VAs and where are they located?
they're in the Philippines.
They always dot the I's and cross the T's when
Exactly.
it comes to the engine. Because like I don't know about you, but I'm not like that.
Me
And
either.
so when I'm thinking about like follow-ups and forms and this and that, that's not in my wheelhouse. And I'm finding the more interviews I do, especially with wholesalers and wholesaling on scale, there's usually an administration department that's a virtual assistant department that's keeping us kind of gunslingers on the horse, so to speak.
You're exactly
So,
correct.
what were you doing before that?
Yeah, so we kind of jumped on it early. Right after we did that first flip in 2021, we hired our first couple of VAs.
And what do they do? Just not to spill the whole sauce, but what do they do?
Yeah, so we have two. We would call them. I think they're marketing associates, is what we call them. So cold calling and texting from a marketing standpoint, right? From the
Mm-hmm.
lead generation standpoint. And then we have a marketing manager. So she's over the two, and she gets paid based on their production. So it's a team atmosphere, right? They do good and
Mm-hmm.
she does good. She does kind of everything. So she does our social media. She does she's starting to do some of our transaction coordination work. So
Mm-hmm.
those forms that you were talking about, right? Making sure due diligence money's in. We're in North Carolina. At least that's one of our markets. And there is a due diligence fee instead of an earnest money fee.
Mm-hmm.
So making sure earnest money's in, making sure that people are followed up with, making sure that we go and get referrals after we close deals from sellers, right?
Yeah.
All those things
That's a
that are
huge
kind of.
missed opportunity for people listening along. Like that video or a video is ideal.
Mhm, for
But
sure.
like a phone call, audio, how was the process of selling your house to them? They're like,
Right.
great, it was easy and went quick, and they did everything they said they would. And it's like check,
Right.
check, check, check. And that stuff really does help um, a certain demographic close. The C types really need that stuff. The S types really need that stuff. They really appreciate social proof. Um, how much does it cost you? Like there's services that can get you appointments.
Mhm.
Um, and then you close those. Do you find that it's more cost effective to just have your own VA doing your own thing, or have you looked into that sort of strategy of paying $200 or $300 for a decent lead? Like, are
Um,
you ending up paying $200 or $300 a whole month of calling?
no, so we're definitely higher than that. Our lead cost, and I don't have the numbers up here directly in front of me,
Ballpark, yeah.
but I have all that information. So we drive 3 leads per VA a day is our goal, and we typically hit our goal. So 6 out of the team. I would say we probably spend around $3,000 to $4,000 a month on,
So
and
in
that's
that day, like in that day, let's break it down even smaller.
mm,
What do they get paid in that day that they're pulling 6 leads?
they get paid.
In a month, they're making like 4 grand, so a
They
thousand dollars a week.
Yeah, we average between $5.50 to $6 an hour plus commission for every closed deal.
Yeah.
And the commission for every closed deal is pretty significant.
And really the conversion when they get that return, like that's gonna get them motivated to dial for sure.
Exactly. I mean, they average 2 to 3 commissions every paycheck, and when we pay out every 2 weeks, and they're large, right? So their commissions typically outweigh what their hourly pay is.
Oh, 100%. Big
Yeah.
time.
So they love it. I mean, they love it. I think from a level of control, it's better to have your own people, and they're working specific hours for you, right? So if you're like, well, today we don't want to do that, you still have those hours, right? So you can have them do anything else that you need. I own a brokerage out of Charlotte, so for like a realtor brokerage, and they're starting to do marketing for that. Putting together newsletters and doing all of our graphic designing and that kind of stuff. When I don't want them to make the cold calls, so for like Memorial Day, right? It's not the best day to call people. It's not the best day to text people,
Well,
but I
people don't
still
want to
have.
go to work, but someone in the Philippines, it's 5 a.m. there, and
That's
there's
exactly
no
right.
such thing. No
I
such
still have
thing.
that time, right? Because I pay them for holidays anyway.
Mhm.
So you could use that time in other resources. So I think as long as you capitalize on the hours that you have, it's more beneficial than paying per lead.
So how do you manage the operations across? I'm gonna try to see if how good my American stuff. North Carolina, South
Mhm.
Carolina, Georgia, Virginia, something AL, and Texas.
Yeah,
Or all
Alabama.
AL. Alabama, there you go, Texas.
Yeah. So our main market, I'm in Atlanta, Georgia. Our main market's here in North Carolina. We go from coast to coast in North Carolina, or from coast to the mountains, I guess it would be.
Yeah.
Um, that we have a pretty good foothold in. I have 3 people in North Carolina that are physically here. 2 are agents, one's a builder. So they know repair costs, they know the market, they know all that kind of stuff, right?
Hmm.
And then everywhere else, we solely focus on pre-foreclosures. So that's the type of lead we're going after, and it's a lot. It's a niche, right? So it's
Hmm.
it's not as abundant as a lead generation in Georgia and in North Carolina. I mean, you might get um, 10 to 15 leads out of each state, a month, just because the lists are so much smaller, 500, 600 addresses in a list. So it's not that tough to manage, just because it's a lot less.
Like Slack or Monday.com. What sort of
Mhm.
softwares or systems do you have to put in place? Because I think I think one of the challenges, at least for myself, was I had to physically like be there. And
Right.
then when I took on other things, like I had another sales position I was doing. So I was
Mhm.
like, you guys go out and do that. And I had a good like second in command who would move and make things happen. But as
Right.
soon as I lost him to the next thing that he was working on, the whole thing kind of fell apart. So what sort of systems and processes do you keep that to keep this whole thing tied together?
Yeah. So my day to day is pretty organized, I would say, just to make sure I touch base on every single aspect of the business.
Hmm.
And I very much work in the business, right? So a lot of
Right.
people that own businesses, they're gonna want to be, they want to work on the business, not necessarily in it, right? Working on systems and this and that, where I find to drive, and I tried that. To drive true net profit increases from a percentage standpoint, you got to work, right? So I do a lot of the stuff myself. I manage a lot of the stuff myself, and I would just say time allocations as important as possible. In the mornings, I'm probably starting around like 7:45, something like that, and it is just making sure everything's done from the last day, right? And then I focus on acquisitions all morning until
Hmm.
11. I work
Hmm.
my VAs from 11 to 12. I'll work on some disposition stuff, and I have people that do this stuff for me as well. But it's
Mm-hmm.
one thing to have someone do it for you, and it's another thing for you to do it yourself and know it's done right. Right. And I'm not saying I'm like physically like calling a bunch of sellers and calling a bunch of buyers, which I do sometimes. But I'm just making sure that those processes are completed and completed correctly by the people we have put in place. So I have a broker that works with us. Her name's Haven. I try to talk to her at least once a day, right? And she does some of the dispositions, a good bit of that kind of stuff in North Carolina, in the Charlotte market. Got a guy in Corey, he's in Raleigh, so I touch base with him, see how our stuff would go in there, and they pseudo manage it, I would say.
Like sub manage it. They like you. They
For
report up to you, and they do their own thing on the ground there.
Yeah, I like to. In essence, that's how the workflow goes. They're their own businesses, their own entities, and stuff like that, right? But we work with each other, but we provide the leads. They make sure that the once you hand the ball off to the running back, he gets to the end zone, and that's kind of the place that they play.
So creating a $1 million business in 3 years
Mhm.
is impressive. What do you attribute the success to?
Um, well, I work tremendous amounts of hours, just like as you and I were talking before this.
Mm,
I mean, I've been working 80 to 100 hours for a long time, and you get to the point where it's just it's a part of your lifestyle. It's if I'm not working, what else? I'm going to be working on something else. So that's definitely a piece of it. Having the systems in place is another piece of it, and being a part of a community definitely helps. So I've been in a lot of mentorships, some larger, some smaller. I know a lot of people in these markets, and I would say at this point, 1/4 of the deals we do are brought to me by someone else, right? So all that kind of stuff continues to help communicating your successes and communicating the fact that this is what I do
hmm.
helps, right? People reach out to you on Instagram, Facebook, and this and that. So all that kind of stuff, definitely adds on top. Um, but then, kind of once you have a basis, focusing on income generating activities mainly, and focusing on what really moves the needle. Right? You can do a
Yeah.
lot of deals and make a little bit of money. That's just a reality in this game. Or you can
Hmm.
do a little bit of deals and make a lot of money. It's kind of where you fit in, right? What your niche is. So in the last year, I've been focusing on what's made us the most money, right? And how do we continue to push that needle? And everything else will fall secondary. So
Mm.
prioritizing, your bigger movers has been a real game changer for us.
Yeah, 80/20 rule. Whatever makes you
It's exactly
80% of your
correct.
money, or
It's exactly correct.
yeah, figure out and dive in on that and stop doing the other stuff so much.
Right.
Now, wholesaling and flipping, it's kind of a treadmill.
Yep.
That's kind of what attributes that 80 to 100 hours
Yeah, for
um,
sure.
business. Sometimes I'm like, what's the point? Like,
I
what's the point of all this? Because
get
you're
that,
just
man.
like, I've forgotten more, I'm sure you're at that point too after 3 years of doing wholesaling and flipping. It's like, I've forgotten more addresses than I can remember. And it becomes like, what's the point if you have to keep doing it? So what's the exit strategy? What's the future for your business? Because you can't do
Yeah,
this forever, like you can if you want to do that life forever.
right.
I mean, I
No
got
doubt.
enough. You can't really see it. I've got the lighting great, but I got a lot of white hair, and I ain't that old.
No, you're exactly right. The future is not to continue to run on the hamster wheel because that's what it is, right? I mean, even before like you might have like 5 or 6 closings like coming up in a month or whatever, but you're looking for like 2 months. What's my 90-day funnel looking like? What's my 180-day funnel? So you never really appreciate the wins. You never celebrate anything because you're always thinking, well,
Well, it's
I got to fill it.
interesting. I was watching this video, and this person was on, and they said entrepreneurs think about the next deal next month, and CEOs are focused on how can I sell this company next year.
That's
And
where
it's
it's at.
like that's the thing that I've really been focusing on a little bit more since I heard that, and I'm looking at your business and you say, how do you sell that next year? How do you sell that thing and get out of that thing?
No,
How do
you're
you put
exactly
someone
right.
else on that hamster wheel and get out? What's the secret?
No, you hit the nail on the head. Wholesaling businesses and having an off market business, I've never seen anyone successfully sell their business, right?
Well, it's
Just because
usually because it's hinged on your success in
that's
closing and
exactly
doing it,
right. You
right?
got to sell it
So
yourself, right?
you'd have to sell it to the number two guy and get out.
Correct, correct. So what we've started is a brokerage, right? So that's probably going to be my move out. So we just opened it like less than 60 days ago, right?
Mm,
But just due to the lead flow that we have, there's a lot of stuff that don't really fit what we do, that
yeah.
are way better positioned for on market. So we sat down, had a conversation. I have my partner Haven; she's the head broker at it. And my thing was, look, you and my dad, you guys can put together a business plan because I'm kind of focused on the side, right?
Right.
But just understand that the goal is we're trying to sell this thing in 5 years. Like I'm gonna be retired by
Brokerages.
30. Yeah. Because a brokerage you can sell. Now they're valued more on the people as assets rather than the business that you do. Right. The sales volume and all that kind of stuff is kind of whatever. But how many people you have under it, and their book of business, that's how you really
Mm,
value a brokerage. And those
like a
actually
law firm almost.
correct. That's exactly correct. And those they're valued pretty well. I've looked at some numbers. I've talked to some people that have sold their brokerages.
Yeah, because you're
That's my
retaining a roster. It's like selling a basketball team. Like,
That's exactly
oh,
correct.
you ain't won no championships and everyone sucks. I'm not buying that team. Oh, you're the top producing brokerage
Right.
in the area, and you've got five of the top 10
That's exactly
agents
right.
in the state on your roster. And this thing does the book of business does the brokers getting a kickback of $270,000 a year. Now
Yep.
it's worth whatever subjectively someone thinks that they can grow it or just own
Correct.
it, and that's really the thing. Because you look at the wholesale business, like my mentor said to me back in the day, he said real estate businesses like that are only worth the lists they keep and the systems they build.
100%.
So when you look at, well, the people to some degree, but the
To a
systems and the
degree.
people
Yeah.
interchangeable. But it's really the lists, and the trouble is the lists, they evaporate. 12
Correct.
months from now, heck, 12 weeks from now, that list is
Correct.
no good. So
I mean, there's no physical inventory, right? I mean, obviously you
unless
can
you build a
own
buy and hold portfolio, I guess, if you have some
correct.
assets, some holdings,
Exactly. But typically, when you buy and hold, you try to keep it away from the wholesale side just because how
liability.
much liability can come through and all that kind of stuff. So the brokerage is my exit. I plan to retire by 35 and be like not sitting on a beach somewhere, but be on my next chapter and whatever I want to do. And I know what it is, and I have that lined up and I have it identified. I don't like to talk about stuff until I have proof in the pudding yet, though. But I know
Gotcha.
what my next thing
Think
is.
and grow
And
rich. Never talk about your plans.
hey, you can't.
Here I am asking, so what's your plan? Aaron, tell me about all of your plans.
Well, the brokerage has materialized, so I could talk about that, and that is my goal, and I'm happy I'm actually expressing it, so because then there is something to hold me accountable to it. Within 5 years, we're going to sell that thing, and hopefully for a couple million. That's the goal. Um, but yeah, no, you're exactly right. How do you get out of your business? And luckily, I still have a lot of gas in the tank, just
Yeah,
due
how
to
old are you
like,
now?
yeah, what do you say?
How old are you now?
I'm 29,
I
so
didn't
I
even
still got
start till I was 30. You got lots of runway left.
Yeah, I still got some time. I don't have kids or anything like that, so I can still, devote that full commitment. But when
Well, I
life
went I
does
went
change,
I went wholesaling this morning. I bring my son with me, but it's not as
that's
easy.
amazing.
It's not as easy, but it's
How
like
old is
I
your son?
don't want to go in another house. I'm like, you're the one who wanted to come with me on Saturday. I told you we were house hunting today. He's like, but I want to go to the park. I'm like, we can go to this park after we see this house.
Right. We'll walk across the street to the park when we're
Yeah,
done
we'll
working.
walk across the street and see the park after we walk through this house and
No,
don't
that
touch
makes
anything.
complete sense. And when I start hitting those milestones in life, I want to be in the moment. I want to be where my feet are, right? So I know that, the gig has to be up at some point. So I'm
Yeah.
here for it.
I guess it's really just about defining the success. I was watching
Right.
sitting there at the park on a nice day, the kids are playing, and it's like 11:30 or something,
Hmm.
noon. And any other job, any other career, I'd be at a desk somewhere doing
For
something.
sure.
So,
For sure. Getting
um,
told what to do by someone you probably don't like.
yeah, I used to pull the 80, 100 hours a week or something, but
Hmm.
I think as you get, it's kind of like, I was watching this one guy. He was at our local real estate meetup or whatever, and he just said, do the activities that get you results and don't do the other stuff. I see so many people starting the business and they're like, I'm going to get business cards and set up my
Yeah,
website. It's just
man.
like, okay, cool. Let me know when you want to start doing real estate.
Right. They just want
Um,
something to talk about and something to show their friends at that point.
yeah, so cool. But I think what I've really found is like, um, becoming super efficient with my time I'm like, how can I spend as little time on the treadmill as possible, still get the same result? That's really what I want to focus. That's what I teach the people that ask me for help, and that's really what I practice is like, how can I do real estate design your life instead of the treadmill? How can I just make it a nice little walk
Right.
for a
No,
couple
you're
of hours
exactly
a
right.
day? Yeah.
It's one of those things where what you value, your priority and hierarchy of value should dictate your time,
But I
right?
mean,
So
you're still in the unicorn blood thing. You don't have any kids. You're not even
that's what I'm saying. This
30.
is all I
Just
got.
go
So
for it. Go for it,
I
man.
got a dog in the other room, but it's
What
just
I
me and my
what I say to
dog.
the
So
other guys, well, I got a couple of guys who've got like a pile of kids and they're running it up too, but I'm like, run it up.
mhm,
Play it, play hard and run it up. See how much you could stack up before you want to stop or
for sure.
change.
And to each his own, but I just know that, when the time is right, my values will shift and my time allocation will shift. And
Yeah,
I just need to have the
my
money to be okay.
Yeah, my bet is you're going to be in multifamily by 35. You're going to sell the
Probably
brokerage. You're going to look for a cash flowing thing. You're probably going to find it just because you're in the business of transacting real estate. And
agree.
you're going to probably end up, owning a handful of apartment blocks and then sell the brokerage. You'll probably be retired before you're retired.
That's
But
hey,
that's
I
that's
like
real
how you
estate
say
for
it.
you.
So
You're you're going to be retired before you're
I
retired. But
love it.
there's always the thing, right? Being happy with what you have instead of the things that are just beyond your reach.
Completely true. Completely true. I mean, I'm grateful. I'm a God-fearing person, so I'm blessed.
Yeah, people get that mixed up, God fearing like it's a bad thing. It's supposed to be.
Correct.
So, how about some advice to someone looking to get started in real estate? Any common mistakes you see new investors making?
Yeah. When it comes to getting started, um, do something, right? Like again, we started in 2019, didn't do anything to 2021. You'll lose a lot of steam by not doing stuff, right? Success loves speed. So get out
Mm,
there and do stuff, even if you're being like a rascal, right? I'm not saying do anything nefarious or anything like that. I'm saying go and do enough to make mistakes, but you're actually progressing. Because mistakes is progress, realistically.
yeah.
Take action as quickly as possible and be consistent in it, right?
I think that's the biggest thing too, right? Is the consistency because some people are like flash in the pan and
That's
and
exactly right.
they kind of taper off. So they can do a lot of stuff and take action right away and da da da. But then 3 weeks in, um, they're just like on to the next thing. Suddenly they're telling you about drop shipping or something. And you're like, okay,
It's the next
stock
hot thing.
market,
Right,
whatever the next reel, whatever the algorithm's feeding them. So,
right.
um, yeah, I guess if people want to connect with you, they want to find out more, or what should they do? How do they find you?
Yeah. So my personal social media, I only have an Instagram. I have a Facebook too, but
Mm,
Instagram is probably the best way to communicate with me and all that kind of stuff. It's at Aaron Aaron __ Washington is my last name __ My company Instagram is at Rosam Capital. That's ROSEM as in Mary, the word capital. Follow us, reach out. I help a lot of people. I love communicating with people in the industry and people that want to get into the industry. What's interesting is people that don't think they have value provide a lot of value sometimes, right? Just by dumb luck, realistically. I mean, ignorance is bliss. So if it's something that you have a question on, need any assistance, feel free to reach out. I'd love to help.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate you stopping by. Maybe help a couple of these wholesalers. I know I learned a few things here on the show, so I really appreciate it.
For sure. Thank you. Thank you for your time. It's a pleasure.
No problem. Until next time, guys, we'll catch you on the next episode.
Hey there, I really hope you enjoyed that episode. And as always, if you want to listen to more daily interview content, make sure you subscribe. And if you're an active real estate investor and you're doing deals and you'd like to get featured on this show, then just head over to daveinterviewyou.com. Now at moneypartnerformula.com, we help real estate investors to create a process for predictably getting capital so they can do more deals without relying on hard money lenders or the banks. We do this by building them a private capital marketing system. Now, if you want help turning yourself into a big money capital attraction machine, then book a call with our team to see how we can help. Just visit moneypartnerformula.com to find out more. All right, take care, and we'll see you on the next interview.